Is One Piece World Seeker bad? When the game's trailer was first released about a year ago, I felt excited. Despite not being caught up with the series, I am very fond of One Piece. The trailer made it seem like this was going to be an amazing open world RPG like The Legend of Zelda. Now that the game is out, finished, to the public, up for sale, many are left disappointed saying the game is bad. Me, not watching or reading any reviews, I wonder, is the game really that bad? So I will be splitting this review up into two parts. The first being what I like to call the tedious arc, and the second being the fun arc. So before discussing the tedious arc, let's talk about the story. I do think the story is good. Although it is not anything groundbreaking, I do think it is a good and resembles an arc that would be in One Piece. This game is very well written in the terms that it really feels like something that would come from One Piece. The dialogue given and the way the characters act and interact with each other, not just from the cutscenes, but throughout the whole game, seems like something that would be in the anime or manga. So in short, this feels like I am playing a full One Piece arc. Here's a quick gist of the arc without spoiling anything. The pirate gang break into a sky prison because they heard there was a treasure there. Probably Nami's idea, but there wasn't any, so they flee the prison and land in unknown territory where they meet Jian, or Jan, I don't know how to say their names are, who is the leader of the anti-navy and hates pirates. But Jan changes her mind through Luffy's care of his crew and his friendship. This story actually reminds me of the Alabasta arc, Jan resembling Levi. The gameplay in this game is pretty boring, at least for about the first 10 chapters. There's 3 different types of quests you do in this game. You have the main quest, important side quests needed to progress through the story, and non-important side quests they can totally ignore. Which is what I did, because they are all the same. You just talk to someone, they tell you to bring you something from a specific part of the map, and then they give you a reward. The map shows you where every item is, so you can look for them in the map. Despite being boring, I could live with the side quest because it is not mandatory. But something that is unforgivable is when they brought these unimportant side quest qualities to the mandatory side quest. For instance, this one quest makes you look for carrots because an old lady won't give you info otherwise. This is unforgivable. Luffy is not a farmer. Why does he have to collect carrots in the mandatory quest? It is obvious that the developers put this in to fill in the lack of content in this game. In fact, most things you do in this game is very boring and repetitive, which is why I'm calling this the tedious arc. In order to do the main mission quest, you have to do a collection of these mandatory quests, which are very boring. Many times you are just running through the map finding people, collecting things, and defeating easy enemies. There is an upgrade system in the game where you can upgrade your combat skills among other things. But to be frank, at first because the enemies are not a big barrier, I only upgraded things to make traveling faster. There is also karma and equipment system, but I didn't put much time into it, so it really is not very important. There were a couple okay quests in the beginning, like when you save Frankie and the stealth missions, but the reason they were okay was because you don't do them quite often, so it felt like something new. Most of this game felt like a MMO, like World of Warcraft, doing tasks to grind, but there is no grind in this game. This is just the game. The fighting in the tedious arc was boring. I first played this game in hard, but then lowered it to the easiest difficulty, because the only difference in difficulty is how many times you have to punch someone. The enemies are a joke, and only seem like they were here to slow you down. Many times you didn't even have to fight them, so I didn't. I just ran right past them. Now that I'm done discussing the tedious arc, let's discuss the fun arc. Right around chapter 8 or 10, the pace of the game really starts to pick up. You get less boring missions, more cutscenes, and decent boss fights. You don't get long tedious side quests with the exception of chapter 15, but you get more things to do that really seems like you are progressing in the story. There are 17 chapters in the story, but once you get to the fun arc, they really start speeding up, not taking nearly as much time to complete as the tedious arc did. There were a few boss fights that were actually a bit challenging and finally required me to buy combat upgrades. For once in the game, combat seemed fun. In the final chapter in the story, you get the biggest and most unique fight that was actually fun and challenging. It is a shame that the game wasn't this good from the start, and that most of the game was bad. So, should you buy this game? Well, if you are a die-hard fan of One Piece that absolutely needs everything One Piece, then yeah, sure, go ahead. But if you are just a normal fan of One Piece looking to play a game, a good game, then no, at least not at full price. If you really want to play this game, just wait for a sale, because there is just not enough content for this game to be worth $60.